Greetings, Android users. This is Reverend Kyle, your Minister of Mobile Devices, and I have purchased the Hisense Sero 7 Pro tablet. This is a 7-inch Android tablet that is exclusively available through Walmart, and I purchased this on the 24th of May when it first came out at a local Walmart. This wasn't even available on their website at the time, and so I felt very lucky to be able to find one in my area to purchase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up, I'm going to show you what's inside the box, and then we're going to take a closer look at it and see how it compares to some of the other tablets in this range, and then we'll go from there. So let's open the box here, and I have already opened this. Let's take a look here real quick at some of the specs. It does say that it has Android 4.2 Jelly Bean, 1 gig of RAM. It does have a micro SD slot up to 32 gig, Bluetooth 3.0, GPS, NFC, and a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. Wow. Really looking forward to seeing how this plays out. Looks like the screen is 1280 by 800. It does claim to be an IPS screen. Rear camera is 5 megapixels and the front is 2 with Wi-Fi and all the good stuff here. Now this does have an Tegra 3 quad core at 1.3 gigahertz. This is the Pro version. So keep in mind that there are two versions of this tablet. There's the, I believe it's called the LT, which has lower specs all the way around. That one retails for $99 US, and then the Pro version is $149 US. So that's the quick breakdown of this tablet here. Now let's see what's in the box. Looks like we've got a piece of cardboard. The actual tablet itself comes in a plastic bag. We'll come back to that. And let's see what else we've got. Looks like there's an internal box here. What's in here? So it looks like a USB cord like you would normally expect. And your looks like your charger, standard US plug, okay, and the obligatory paperwork and quick start guide. So that's what's in there. And do we have anything else? No, it does not look like there is anything else in the box. So that's the box, and it comes in a kind of a cheap plastic bag. Not what I expected. That it's, you know, you don't have to go crazy on the packaging. Okay, so here it is. The tablet itself feels very similar. Like I said, it's a 7-inch tablet. It feels similar to the Nexus 7. Looks on the back, there is a small piece of adhesive with a serial number, and it shows that the NFC tag is right here. There are your speakers and your 5 megapixel camera. It looks like there is a flash involved here. Your power button and your volume control. Nothing along the side there. Nothing along the side there. Then what do we have up top here? This is interesting. You've got your microphone hole, your headphone jack. This is for your SD card. That's kind of cool. Then you've got your standard micro USB, and that appears to be HDMI out, and we'll take a look at that closer a little later. So that is the tablet itself. You can see the screen is pretty nice looking. Not too bad of a bezel along the edge. There's your front-facing camera, and I'm sure there's some other sensors and whatnot for ambient lighting and whatnot. Okay, well, I'm gonna take this plastic off here. It looks like the back of it, it almost feels like a plasticized I don't know, carbon fiber kind of pattern looking thing. Pretty nice, actually. Feels good, nice and sturdy in the hands. Looks like the screen against the edge, there's a piece of rubberized material along the edge, kind of holding it together. Actually, the edge is very reminiscent of the HP touchpad, if you're familiar with that tablet. Looks good. I'm going to go ahead and power it on and see what we can do with it. Okay, I've set it up. and I've attached it to my Wi-Fi, added a couple apps that I deem worthy, and I've played around with it for quite a bit. It does look like this is Google Play authenticated, so it does actually have the Play Store already installed on it. This does appear to be pretty much stock 4.2 Jelly Bean, and we'll go into the settings to take a look at it. There is some bloatware. I don't want to call it bloatware, but there is definitely some apps that are pre-installed, so I guess that is bloatware. So let's take a look here. Looks like it's 4.2.1. Kernel is 3.1.10, which I find intriguing. And let's see here. What can we take a look at here? Let's go. You'll notice along the bottom, the bar, there's something very interesting here. This is actually a screen cap button. So you have your traditional back and home, and then the apps to switch through, but then it's got this extra little screen cap button. Novel. I don't know how often I'll use it, and actually it's kind of confusing because I'm typically used to hitting this instead of this when I hit the very far right button, but that's fine. And it does look like it did a screenshot, and go ahead and tell it to use the gallery here. Okay. So it did. It took a screenshot, and looks like it's working as designed. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the bloatware, as it were. It looks like this had a few pieces that I found kind of interesting. We had a Walmart app. I found that kind of funny. I know it's a Walmart exclusive app, but it just kind of surprised me that it was on there. Voodoo Movies and TV, and it actually did offer to give me some sort of trial version when I first turned it on, plugged it in. It also has a TV remote app. Now this is, it appears to be a Wi-Fi control. There is no IR blaster on this. The TV remote wants to look for a TV that has capabilities of being controlled. Now I know Hisense as a brand is very well known for their television, so I'm assuming if you had a Hisense or a compatible TV that this would be a nice little feature to have. It also had Sam's Club, which for some of you who don't know, Sam's Club and Walmart are sister stores. They're both owned by the same company. And then it had the Tegra Zone app, which obviously it's a Tegra 3 chip, so having the Tegra Zone app on it pre-installed is actually kind of a nice thing. It had Pandora, and everything else pretty much seems stock. So I want to go ahead and look at it from a performance perspective. I did run the Antutu Benchmark, came up with an 11868, and when you look at that in terms of ranking against some of the other devices, it does appear to show up comparatively against the Nexus 7 to be just a bit inferior in most respects. Now, after having played with this tablet for about a day or so, I do find it to be slightly laggy. I don't know if it's because I'm used to 4.2.2 on my Nexus 7 or if it's just a bit below what I'm used to. It wasn't terrible, but there were a few points where the launcher did choke a bit when I tried to throw a lot at it, and it force closed and then it started back up again. In terms of gaming, I threw some 3D games at it. I threw some video playback at it. I did load MX Player, and that seemed to handle that pretty well. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you that here. I did install MX Player, and I put a couple movies onto a micro SD card. I have a 16 gig class 10 micro SD that I did install on here, and I did put these onto, I got a few movies here. I'm just going to pull up, this is a 1080p movie. Okay, let me crank up the volume here a bit. and we are doing hardware acceleration. This is a very obvious movie with high quality. It looked okay. I was very pleased with it. No lag. Handled it pretty well. And I half expect it to look pretty good coming out of the HDMI port as well. My experience has been with the HDMI port out is that you're not getting the full 1080p experience. Of course, this screen itself, being 1280 by 800, isn't quite your 1080p, so it is obviously a little smaller than what you would get. But overall, I'm very pleased with the experience here. We'll throw one more movie up here. And a little bit of animated movie. I find animated movies look amazing on tablets.
Get me out of this cupcake. I'll get my medal and I'll be out of your way.
Okay, so as with other devices of this size, these speakers are unfortunately on the back. One of these days, a tablet manufacturer will realize that if I'm watching movies, the last thing I want to do is have to cup the speakers in order for them to sound appropriate. Alright, well that's pretty much what we're going to look at in terms of software and performance. Like I said, game-wise, it ran pretty well. I did have a few 3D games that I threw on here that I got from the Play Store. Actually, I got them from the Tegra Zone, so that way they were Tegra compatible. They did very well. I was very pleased with that. Browsing seemed to be pretty good. So the next thing I want to do is take a look at the camera. Okay, so let's take a look at the camera now. It did come with a camera app, unlike the Nexus 7. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and jump straight into taking a picture. I just want to make sure that all my settings are correct. So it's 5 megapixel. Whoops. Let's try this again. So the camera app, I am going to turn on the flash, since that's something relatively interesting for this tablet to have. And let's take a picture. I have a candle here. Now, I noticed a few things. Number one, I noticed that the camera itself is noisy. You actually hear clicking, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to capture it. Okay, so I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it's clicking each time I hit it to focus. Okay, it might be a little too close. Let's scoot it back there. Okay, so there's the picture. The flash itself is kind of drowning it out a bit, so it's to be expected. The flash is pretty potent. The camera itself, okay, I took several pictures with it. They're okay. 5 megapixel, it's slow. The camera is very slow. So it throws the flash out, it takes the picture, and by the time the picture's been taken, it's very blurry. So the flash itself, while it's nice, it actually took better pictures without the flash. So I'm just going to turn the flash off. Okay, so little slow, but pretty crisp, pretty clear. Very pleased. Front camera, 2 megapixels. It's just slightly better than other front-facing cameras that I've seen. It wasn't very noisy. It's kind of hard to show an example of it, but realistically, it does the job. It's much better than some of the recent, like the HP Slate 7 had a terrible front-facing camera, reminiscent of the HP touchpad. Just terrible front-facing camera. The one on this tablet is it's good. It was decent. It worked well with Skype and the new Google Hangouts. So I was pretty pleased with it. So camera-wise, I give this a B. It was pretty good. Okay, time to do the obligatory comparison against the Nexus 7. So I have my Nexus 7 here, and I have the new Sero 7. Okay, so height-wise, it looks like height-wise, let's see. Ooh, it's just a little taller, just a bit. Not a lot, just a very, very tiny bit. In terms of width, A little bit. So it looks like it's just a little bit bigger than your Nexus 7. Not a huge problem. It's just ever so slightly bigger. Most of it appears to be. It looks like I'm hitting the volume here. Most of it appears to be the bezel along the edge, so it's not too bad. In terms of thickness, I would say it's pretty close. So yeah, it's just a little bit bigger of a tablet. Not a big deal. Let's take a look then. Screen-wise, it's going to be difficult to compare the screens because I think I have my Nexus 7 turned up pretty full blast. I guess to be fair, I could turn the display on this, and this does have automatic brightness, so I'll just turn it off and turn that way up. And just to show you, again, just want to be fair here. Let's see here. Display, brightness. Yeah, I got it turned up all the way. So now they're both turned up all the way. And you can see from a brightness perspective, and I'll go back to a screen that is consistent for both. You're looking at it's pretty close. Pretty close in terms of the screen. I'll tell you what. I can't see a difference between these two screens. This is probably, for a $149 tablet, probably the best screen I've seen. This is up on, I thought the Kindle Fire HD had a pretty good screen. This has a pretty good screen. So I'm going to give the screen definitely an A on this. Okay, so here is the tablet plugged in through the HDMI port. This is a smaller HDMI port, so I used a standard HDMI cable with a converter. Seems to work okay. I'm just showing you the... Seems to work alright. Okay. So let's go in to movies again, and I'll just start... We'll just go back to where we were. And I know this isn't going to be amazing. You're not going to be able to see, oh wow, this is just great quality, but I do want to show you it doesn't quite fill up the screen. It's not exactly perfect. And the quality, I'd give it a 720. That's definitely not a 1080p output there.
With the last light of Durin's day.
But I did want to show you that it does work. And it works fairly well. I'm very pleased with this. Okay, let's play with this a little bit more here. A couple of the questions that I had already from a few people were, you know, is there actually Google Now? And there is, and I'll go into Google Now, make sure everything is working okay here. It looks like the red's won today, that's nice. Google, find me images of monkeys. Okay, so it looks like we've got some images of monkeys here. Good stuff. Alright, a few more things. People are going to want to know, does this tablet have the ability to use an OTG cable? The answer is yes. I did try it. I used with the OTG cable. I did not purchase the good one, but I did get the Nexus photo viewer through a memory card, or I'm sorry, a USB stick into the OTG cable. Picked it up just fine. I was able to view images and movies off of it. So from an OTG perspective, it does work. I also experimented with trying to plug a webcam into it. I had seen a video where somebody had plugged a webcam in using the LG camera app. I was not able to get that to work. However, there was one instance where I plugged the OTG cable in with the webcam plugged into it, and it seemed to identify that there was a headset plugged in. So, and I don't have one to test it, but my theory is that if you had a micro USB headset, like from some old phones and devices that came with those, you could probably try that. I would imagine that it would work. So it looks like OTG is a go on this. We might find some more capabilities applied as we get into some development. I have a feeling that this tablet, for its price and its hardware, it shouldn't be difficult to do some development for it. I did test the NFC. The NFC seems to be working on par. I was able to transfer images to the Nexus 7 and to a Nexus 4 phone with no issues, and vice versa. So it looks like that worked. The GPS was relatively fast. I would say it was on par with the Nexus 7. I had no problems with tethering. All of the standard apps and everything worked okay. I did a racing game. It seemed like all the accelerometers and everything were working on par. What you have here is a $149 piece of equipment that in some ways compares to the Nexus 7 and in other ways excels beyond it. Some of the features that this tablet has, the Nexus 7 I think is a little jealous. Micro SD, I really don't understand why. Well, I understand the logic behind it, but the consumers want that. Video out capabilities through HDMI is definitely a plus. Please give us those things, and please give us cameras, both front and rear facing. Again, I wasn't impressed with the flash, but the camera itself, it was a nice little addition. So I'm going to leave you with this. I'm sure there will be other reviews of this tablet, and I do know that there's a few people who are asking for some specs on this in terms of development, so we're hoping that that comes out down the road as well. This has been Reverend Kyle showing you the Sero 7 Pro 7-inch tablet from Hisense.